But the day will be questioning Mr. Najib and his wife. The former Prime Minister is under investigation as part of a probe into what happened to the state-run investment fund.
We are set? Are you okay? Okay. Okay. Once again, good morning, and welcome to another media briefing from the Office of the President. As usual, after my presentation, we'll get the questions from you. As of today, the President has been updated on the monitoring teams of OP and the Minister of Finance, and the committee has met on the monitoring of the National Development Plan, and they are mapping out the technical support, the financial and material support, and relating to them to each of the sectors that are going to be supported from the pledges. And also it will go into details to specify the locations of the projects. Also, the high-level economic committee has met with Her Excellency the Vice President, and the President has been updated on some of these issues. The Anti-Corruption Commission will be established very soon, and the update is that the Ministry of Justice is working on the Anti-Corruption Commission. The President has also been updated that on the MGI, an investigation task force has been set up to get the facts about the MGI, whether losses have been incurred, what is that loss related to, whether it's an issue of technical capacity or human capacity to manage the gateway. The President has also been briefed on the update on the situation regarding the agreement with SEMLEX. He has been informed that the agreement is at its final stage for the production of national identity cards. On the OIC, the Executive Director, Mr. Lamin Sane, briefed the President about the recent advocacy meetings they embarked upon in preparation for OIC 2019 in the Gambia. His Excellency also has been updated on the advocacy meetings regarding debt reliefs from the Paris Club, and follow up on the Chinese government support in the areas of agriculture, energy, and the Banjul port. Also, the President is informed about the Pension Reform Act being reviewed. That is something that the government is embarking upon, and he has been informed about that. On the right to protest, especially on the recent demonstrations and protests, please be informed that His Excellency President Barrow respects the rights of citizens to protest on condition that they follow the due process to have a permit, as well as ensure that the protests are peaceful. This is in line with ensuring that citizens enjoy their rights with responsibility that goes with the rights. It is in this context that he approved the Sunday demonstration that took place. Also, on the Social Security protest and march to State House, the President has been informed and he is aware of their concerns. However, it is important to clarify that the issue was not ignored by the Office of the President. Rather, there were consultations going on, and be informed that all parties involved had to present their case before any decision is taken. Furthermore, the new chair has been identified and appointed as Board of Chair of the Social Security and Housing and Finance Corporation, so that any issue dealing with institutions have to go through the right procedures and processes rather than jump the gun straight to State House. It is in this context that everybody is informed that issues of unlawful protest is not acceptable, but the reason why yesterday the team from Social Security were accommodated was because there wasn't enough communication about them coming to State House to present that information. So when it came and they were there, so it was just proper that somebody received them and it was on the authority of the Secretary General that the staff who were identified went to receive them, and had a discussion with them and the security team, because we should also be aware that despite that we have the right to protest, we have to follow the rules and regulations regarding those protests. For example, you cannot just walk to State House and say you are protesting and expect to walk into State House like that. That is not acceptable anywhere. And it will not be acceptable here. But to accommodate the situation, it was agreed that let us have these people come in, deliver whatever they had to deliver, and then go, and then they will have the responses that will follow suit, followed in the proper procedures. Whatever information is available will go through the right channel to inform the Office of the President about what is happening there. So apart from that, you are also informed that His Excellency President Barrow will attend the 31st ordinary session of the Assembly of the African Union in Nouakchott, Mauritania, 1st and 2nd of July. On that note, I thank you, and your questions are welcome. Okay, you're welcome. Announce your name and where you are representing, please.
Thank you very much. I'm a freelancer and I also work with KEFAN. My question is relating to social security. I mean, if I would be permitted to ask two questions. Social security, there were quite a number of issues of social security even immediately after the regime change that came to light. And one of the few things that came to light as we watched the Commission on Force, the Commission of Inquiry, was that some previous managements have done certain things in relation to Jammeh without following proper procedures. And the same staff of that same institutions are now also complaining that their manager has given us. Didn't the president consider it right to sort of launch an investigation into this, whether staff queries are actually accurate, whether there was corruption allegations are true or not?
Thank you very much. Actually, what happened was that the Ministry of the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation staff wrote their petition to the Office of the President. When they wrote the petition, at the time, the President and the Secretary General were all in Brussels, if you recall. So they were asked to wait until they were back for the Secretary General to intervene. They called the Social Security people to a meeting with the Secretary General. They had the meeting, and then the staff wrote their protest letter, and it was acknowledged. But you cannot make a judgment on one-sided story. So opportunity was given to the MD to also write his part of the story so that all the information will be available, and whoever is taking a decision will be able to be in a position to make informed decision. The deadline for the letter from the MD to arrive was on Monday. By the time, even on Monday, the staff representatives had a meeting with the Secretary General. But by the time they realized that the letter from the MD arrived, it was in the evening, in the afternoon, when the meeting has already taken place and they were informed that they're waiting for that letter to come. So just to realize that yesterday, the staff decided to come over to make a presentation that they want to really see the president himself. But we have to agree, as a nation developing in the area of democracy, we have to also learn how to manage our democracy and our rights within the democracy and the responsibilities we have. So one of them is to follow procedures. If staff have grievances, they should go through their board of directors to address their issues. Unfortunately, at the time, there was no chair for the board of directors, but I've been informed today that already a board of directors, the chair has been appointed. So this is going to give the staff, all of them, and those stakeholders involved to be able to present their case to their board of directors. And whatever comes out of it, then they'll be able to inform the Office of the President about the outcomes of their decisions. For the Office of the President also takes its responsibility. Thank you. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Awama. I'm reporting from the Korean newspaper. We learned that the President has made an announcement that he's going to set a commission of inquiry. We want to know
into what?
Into the issue of Faraba.
Yes.
How far is that commission gone, and who are the members of the commission of inquiry?
I guess maybe you did not follow the press release that went out, but it involved a lawyer. It involved the security apparatus in terms of the SIS and the army and the civil society representatives. They are all part of that commission to be able to do the investigation on Faraba to get the facts out. Yes?
Thank you. My name is Samuel Jampo from West Africa Democracy Radio. I'd like you to tell us what is the name of the new chairman of the board, for those of us who want to write. And also, I don't know how much you're aware that most people work on this morning within the Greater Bangalore area without bread. I don't know how far the presidency is working on that. It's a cause for concern for the general public.
Okay. On the first issue, I didn't capture the first name, but it's one Mr. Jallo, who is the new chair. On the issue of bread, if you recall, the minister responsible for these issues is the Minister of Trade. And I guess those who were following the news yesterday had their press release on the television. So this is so far where we are. The issue have not reached a stage where it will come to the Office of the President. The relevant ministry is handling it at this point in time.
Sorry, you talked about the issue of an advocacy meeting on debt relief, I think, as it relates to Paris Accords.
Paris Club.
Yeah, Paris Club. Does that mean the Gambia is trying to negotiate with creditors, some of the debt that it has, in the past?
Yes, it's part of that process to see where our partners can give us debt relief, to support the country towards its development. Remember that the country has gone through difficult times in terms of the economy. Therefore, you need the right support to be able to move further with the process of development.
Who are these partners and how much?
The Paris Club.
Oh, okay.
The Paris Club. I'm sure you know about that. Okay.
I just want to ask a follow-up question.
What's your name and where you represent, please? Pardon?
So I just want to know how did the President arrive at the composition of the Commission of Inquiry, the Faraba Commission of Inquiry? I mean, already some people have expressed their reservation in respect of the inclusion of representatives from the security agencies. So I just want to know how the President arrived at the composition of the Commission.
I'm sure the President has technical advice on who should be part of the composition of any commission he is setting up, and he goes by those technical advices.
Well, I'm sorry, I just make it too prompt. But you said that the commission of the Anti-Corruption Commission is going to be set up, that the Justice Ministry is working on the setting up of it. When is this going to happen?
We are told that it will be very soon. So I don't know how soon exactly, but we were told it's going to be very soon. They are working on it already.
Yeah.
Yes? So, yeah?
I'm Olujala from GRTS. I just have a question concerning an investigation that has been launched into the MGI as a gateway. This problem has been festering for a very long time, and understandably it has cost the national liaison operator a lot of, and Gamcel a lot of money. Now, at the end of the day, what is this investigation going to establish? Is it going to, because as we've seen, there's allegations that that the National Liaison has lost millions of dollars and still continues to do so. Now, what is this investigation going to establish at the end of the day? And Is it going to end this problem that has been festering for a very long time?
As far as we're informed, the investigation is going to find out if loss has been incurred. That loss, is it due to the lack of the technical facilities to make sure that the loss doesn't happen, or is it the lack of capacity, human resource capacity, to be able to do that? And then from the findings, that is when the decision will be made about what is going to happen next.
Okay, follow up to that.
Your name and where you represent, please.
Okay, I'm Lamin Kante, iAfrica TV. Regarding the MGI issue, the MGI has been called at the Commission of Inquiry regarding the gateway issue. Now the president is setting up another commission to look into such things, because they are the ones who were responsible of the gateway before, and in which the presidency one time wanted to return it to them based on the millions of dollars that Gambians are losing. Will there not be anything like two separate body looking into something? Will there be not in anything like conflict sort of in that issue?
Okay. The commission is different from the investigation task force. They are not a commission that has been set up, no. The investigation task force has to look into what they have been assigned. That is one. If the loss is being incurred, is it human resource? Is it technical? Why it is happening? So that they'll be able to give that advice, information to whoever is going to take the final decision on the issue at this point in time.
Okay, on SEMLEX, on what basis are you concluding to reinstate the contract as they are under investigations in their own confidence?
Okay. As far as SEMLEX is concerned, there is a contract between SEMLEX and the government of the Gambia. Right now, what they are doing is to review the agreement that is between SEMLEX and the government of the Gambia to be able to continue the contract in terms of what they were, because the implications of that, I think, has been already discussed. If you are following the news, even at the National Assembly, it was discussed there. So right now, the president has been informed that the agreement is being reviewed, and very soon they will continue to make sure that they have the ID cards out. Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Mamba from the Standard newspaper. I just want to know whether there is any update on the issue of the fertilizer scandal. Because after the press conference that we attend, you said investigation were done and the report is with the Ministry of Justice and they're going to make recommendations to the President. Immediately after that, the Minister of Agriculture holds a press conference and actually denied any wrongdoing. And he went on to say he was not even informed or told about any report that was prepared. And his name is actually implicated in the report.
Okay.
What is the latest development? And the other one is the issue of Haruna Jata. The last time you told us he's waiting for the TRRC. But the former minister...
I did not say that.
You said so.
No, I said all other victims relating to the Jammeh regime will be dealt with by the TRRC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me continue. The issue of Haruna Jata, the former Minister of Interior in a recent interview with the Standard newspaper said, there were investigations were done, and a report was compiled by the investigators, and the National Security Council also made their recommendations to the President.
Okay.
What is the latest development surrounding that?
I did not get that information regarding the Security Council briefing to the President on the Haruna Jata issue. I did not get that information. So I cannot tell you anything about that. The issue of the fertilizer is still where we are. We are waiting on the Minister of Justice to provide the information to the Office of the President as to what their legal decision is on that matter.
May I have a follow-up to that? In a press conference that Minister Jallo has had with the journalists, his position was that he was not aware of any investigation into the incident and that he was not informed.
Anyway, I cannot say anything about what he knows and what he doesn't know. What I am here to present is what the president knows and what he doesn't know.
That is where I'm coming
So
to.
right now, I cannot tell you anything, and I cannot respond to anything Mr. Jallo said or did not see. What I can tell you is that the president has been briefed about the investigation. The issue has been passed on to the Ministry of Justice to provide legal advice, and that is what the president is waiting on. That's all I can mention.
Yeah, but do you not think?
It's not my thinking.
Yeah, but isn't it common sense that if as the presidency said that they've received the report and that they were going to act on it, do you not think 7 months down the line that it's common sense that the minister would have known what the president knew?
It's not what I think, it's not what I know, it's what the president knows and what the president has been briefed upon. All the brief the president, I can tell you, has been informed of is that the investigation took place, the report came, it was sent to Ministry of Justice for legal advice, and that is the advice the president is waiting. And I cannot go beyond that, and I cannot speculate on anything beyond that.
Does the president trust his securities who did the investigation?
I cannot tell you whether he trusts or not trusts anybody. What I can tell you is that we have institutions, the institutions are working, and they have been assigned to do a job, and when they come, the report was presented, and that report was given to the right institution who has the responsibility to give legal advice to the president, and that is what we are talking about here.
Then does the president trust the content of the report?
I cannot tell you what he trusts or not. It's not about trust, it's getting the facts. His responsibility is to get facts to help him in the decisions he takes. And that is what he is waiting for.
And the president was in no doubt that the report is containing facts.
I cannot tell you that. What we are saying is that it is the legal experts who can advise the president whether these are facts, whether these are not facts, whether these are legal, whether these are not legal, what legal advice they have. That has not come. We cannot comment on that. And that will be the last thing on that, please. Thank you.
You did mention that the government is working on to set up anti-corruption commission. What will be the mandate of this commission, and also what kind of power will this commission have?
I'm sure if the commission is set up, all of you will be informed. Their TROs will be specified, and everybody will know what their responsibility is. Thank you.
I just have a question. I just hope you will not say it's not within the jurisdiction of the president.
If it is not done, ask it.
There is an emanating problem around Nyamina East in connection to land issues. I went there recently and we published the story not long ago. That issue could lead to a serious conflict, especially when the rainy season starts. Because I interviewed elders who are actually telling me anything is possible if the thing is not settled. I just want to know whether the presidency is aware of that problem, because we have seen how the problem at Faraba drags for almost 1 month until it led to the tragedy that happened there. I just want to know whether.
Okay, up to the time I am talking to you right now, I did not have any briefing about Nyamina or what happened there. So whatever I have told you is what I have information about so far. So if I have any other information, that's the purpose of this briefing. If we have information, we'll share it. If we have been briefed that the president has information on these things, whatever he has information on and that relates to the public, we will share that information during our press briefings. And if necessary in between, we have more information before the press briefings. As I told you, we can use the press releases to reach out to others on those issues.
Yes.
Yes, we have a few minutes.
I have a question on what Omar has asked. I just wanted to know, don't you think local authorities to be involved in these processes, especially the chiefs and the governors, if such problems are first time, what role do you think has the office of the president been prevailing on these authorities to try to resolve such issues as some others are saying before they reach such national levels? At least they should be dealt with at that level, the chiefs and the governors, such local disputes before they reach the national level. What is the role of the office of the president in prevailing on those authorities to take up their responsibilities?
I think that, as you said, each of the institutions have their responsibilities, and it is their duty to ensure that they take up those responsibilities to ensure that the right things are done at the right time. And whatever information the president gets regarding any issue, it should have gone through a process. That is why you have the institutions there. That is why you have people who are appointed to those responsibilities to ensure that things are done at the right time or using the right processes to ensure that we get the right things done before it reaches the president. So when it reaches the president, it's not like the alcalo or the SAFE or whoever is responsible official is not aware. It should have gone through a process, and that is what we are trying to instill, and that is what the president is insisting on, that we have the institutions take up their responsibilities and do the right thing for the country to move on. Yes, you didn't have a second time.
I just want to ask, the president in Faraba said because of the Gambia he lost his son. What was the president trying to say? Because in the social media people were saying a lot of crazy
I think people have to calm down on receiving information. What the president was emphasizing was that we all have lost somebody for the sake of the Gambia. You have either been directly or indirectly affected. When he lost his son, it's because he left the Gambia as president-elect. When his son died, he had to leave the children behind. If he was not president, he would not have done that at that point in time. He wouldn't have left his family behind. That's what he was trying to explain, that even he himself, he lost his family. But he had to move on because he's taking a responsibility of serving the country. And it was a difficult time. We all know that. When his son died, he was president-elect. He was not sworn in. He left the country. But that did not stop him to move on. It's not that he did not feel it. What he was trying to say that we have our difficult times, but we have to move on as a country. And that is simply trying to explain that in a process, anything can happen. And this is what happened. These lives were lost because of a cause. To show that even himself lost his child because of a cause. His child died.
That will come when it will come.
Pardon?
I said, but that will come when it will come.
That's why you are not going to stand in the middle of the road for the vehicle to ride over you. There is always a sabab, as we believe. Yeah. So those sababs are there. It's like, example, if he did not leave the child behind, if he did not go, perhaps the child will not have gone out to be in a situation where that will be the cause of his death. So we have to understand things into context. And remember that when people are in difficult situations, things like that, you have to understand how and what was the context in which things happen. And this is what simply he was trying to explain. Thank you. I can only give 2 minutes, yes, Omar, and then the last one.
In the last press conference, you told us the president was going on a countrywide tour. We just want to know when is that going to happen?
I don't want to say the date yet, but it's already planned, and immediately it gets closer, we'll let you know. Okay, we have the Lamin and Lamin, the 2 Lamins. Okay, and then we move on. Please.
Okay, just a follow-up on the question of Mojalo regarding the responsibility of local authorities. You know, what the president should do now?
It's not what the president should do. There are procedures. I think Gambians, we have to really, really bring ourselves back to be on the right track. Everybody blamed the former president because he was doing things at his own level. He didn't care whether there is a procedure, whether there is a responsible person or not. I don't think that is what President Barrow wants to be. He is not the type. What he wants is everybody, whether you are a cleaner, whether you are a messenger, as he said at the meeting in Faraba, we all have responsibility. Let us take those responsibilities. If you do your responsibility and I take my responsibility, and the president takes his responsibility, we'll have a better Gambia. Thank you very much. And the final one from Lamin Kante.
Okay. There are reports that the government have appointed a spokesperson. We are part of your mailing list, but we didn't receive any communication regarding that aspect. Is it true? If yes, what is the responsibility of that individual? Will there be and still, if true, will there be nothing like repetition of responsibilities, like you spokesperson of the president, and as well you have Minister of Information, whom many believe that is the spokesperson of the government. So,
okay, on that issue, one, you said it rightly. Any official information that's going to the media, coming from office of the president, comes through my office. So if you have not received it from my office, as far as I am concerned, it doesn't exist, one. Two, as far as the issue of the spokesperson of the government is concerned, is the Minister of Information who is the person responsible for being a spokesperson for the government. My role, as you clearly stated, is spokesperson for the president. I think that is clear. It didn't come from my office. I don't know where it came from, and I don't know how it got to the media. I cannot respond to that.
It is reported by your own state media.
Which state media?
GRTS.
GRTS is not the GRTS. I did not give it to GRTS. I don't know where they got it. I don't know who sent it. I don't know who wrote it. I know nothing about it. I just saw it in television and people were calling me. That's all I can answer. And this is where we end today's edition of the media briefing. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming. And see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye. Thank you. Pardon? Oh, I missed. I've not seen you for some time.